I'm ready, Poppy.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there. I'm Joe Conzi. He's Ben Damagala. This is the inaugural episode of Broken Tables and Broken Dreams, a Buffalo sports and lifestyle podcast for people just like us. This has been talked about for so long, this podcast. I'm so excited to be here. How you feeling?
Dude, same way. I mean, basically this podcast started because him and I had a couple of brewskis a couple times at a couple of bars. And I always respected your opinions on stuff. I always felt they were informed. We're both very, very passionate, obviously. And we wanted to just bring something that no matter how much you know about a sport or anything like that, that you could feel comfortable coming into you feel like you could sit right at this couch with us, essentially. So, yeah, I'm pretty stoked to do this, brother.
It's always been the best of times. It's been the worst of times. We've had some great takes. We had some frozen cold takes. There's a lot of people out there that'll watch this episode going, dear God, why are the two of these guys getting a microphone in their hand? Why are they getting in front of a camera? Why are they doing this? And I got 2 words for you. 3 words, actually. Deal with it.
Something's happened, bro.
Something's happened. The gears are spinning. So
yeah, if you follow me on Facebook, it's already a ride. I say a bunch of shit on Facebook, and I get a bunch of comments about it, and I go to bed the same way. I'm like, you know what? Whatever.
Yeah,
I'm the same way.
It's wild. We actually, speaking of, having drinks and enjoying sports, this past weekend, we went to our buddy's house. Danny's on 58th.
Don't know if you've ever been there, but
probably won't. It's VIP only. And we watched a UFC fight, and I'm going to talk like really not UFC about this, even though I've covered UFC, for like one hot minute. Okay. I covered UFC Rochester. But I got to tell you, there was a good, maybe like year or two where I hadn't really followed the UFC as closely as I should have. And recently I find myself really heavily invested, especially after this weekend. I know you're really into it, but all these names like McGregor and Adesanya, still names in the game, but kind of fading away slowly. And there's new young up and comers. There's guys that, I don't know, they've been gatekeepers for a while that are getting, shots. I mean, I don't know. What did you see this weekend? I know I lost my bets this weekend on UFC. I can tell you that.
Well, it's a weird time for the UFC. They literally this week signed a $7 billion deal with Paramount Plus to go away from the pay-per-view market, which I think for them is spectacular. I think if you're one of those people that has always wanted these fighters to get paid, I think now is finally the time. Hopefully Dana does it. Yeah. The fighter pool is kind of weird right now because like you said, I mean, Conor's been gone for years now. He's the only time he's really in the spotlight anymore is when he's stirring shit.
Right,
when
exactly.
He's on, Twitter talking about how he's going to come back and how he did a blood test. He's not coming back. He's done. But
I hope he doesn't. It's kind of like I loved him for a little bit, but I hope he doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, I was never really a fan of Conor.
Yeah.
Just because I caught him at a weird time.
Yeah.
Right. Like I caught him, like I watched UFC really heavily and then I stopped for a bit and then I came back to it. By the time I came back to it, he was fighting Mayweather for $150 million. And I was just, the shtick wasn't falling with me. Nowadays, I wish I could have appreciated that. Mm-hmm. But like you said, these falling stars, like Adesanya was my guy. He was the man. And now he's gotten knocked out 4 times. His chin's gone. And sometimes that happens to people. Yeah. So now you've got all these dudes who just, the Dagestanis, right? They come in, they wrestle everybody into a submission. They fight bears for a living. And they're kind of taking over the UFC. So from your perspective, I was very curious because I had some feedback on this. How did you feel about Khamzat's win, where he just basically dominated Dricus for the whole time?
So you posted on Facebook that you hated Khamzat.
I hate him.
I know you hate him. Yeah. But what I like about Khamzat's style is he stuck to his guns. Like he stuck to what he does best. Take you down, wear you out. Take you down, wear you out.
Right.
And we were waiting for the longest time for something to happen, and it didn't. Mm-hmm. Right. And we were like, oh my gosh, it's going to happen. He's got to fight his way out. Then he starts to fight his way out. And like Khamzat's like, nah, man, I already tired you out enough. And I'm just going to grind it out. And it is probably the most boring style of fighting. But sometimes that's the Achilles heel for a lot of these fighters. These guys that can throw down, they're no match for these guys.
Yeah. I had to explain that to a couple of friends of mine because entertainment wise, it's not very high. No. It's like watching Floyd fight when Floyd used to win.
Right.
He was undefeated. He was probably the best defensive boxer of all time. But There was never that haymaker coming.
Defense wins championships.
Yeah, right.
Right, exactly. Right.
Yeah,
Like,
don't even.
We'll get to that later on
Don't.
defense, but
but no, it was really cool, man. And I agree with you. I hope some really nice more crop of fighters keeps coming along. More people are getting into it. It's just weird. It's kind of like how cyclical it is. You know what I mean?
Well, and the other thing too is you stay up late to watch those, and then that's what you get. And I think I like fell asleep on our buddy's floor. Yeah, I was like falling asleep on the garage floor watching this, and it was just great. So, yeah, I mean, like we said, a Buffalo Style Sports podcast. We'll talk about lifestyle things in Buffalo. The biggest headline, the biggest story in Buffalo right now are the Buffalo Bills. Okay,
yeah, right.
What the hell happened in training camp? You had a running back hold in. Curtis Samuel's hurt. Cole Bishop can't stay healthy. Pets' heads are falling off. I mean, our coach wants a Super Bowl, and he doesn't have the resources that he needs. I mean, Cole Bishop just cannot seem to stay on the field, which is a concern to me. But I'm also really concerned because they're putting all their eggs in one basket with Taylor Rapp, who I think is a bona fide number one safety in the NFL. I mean, not the best, but a great safety, and it just seems like he gets hurt too. So there's a couple holes there, and Sean McDermott didn't hide behind anything today. I was actually very impressed with how he said, we have to look at this. We have a problem.
Yeah.
And that's not something you want to hear when you're playing the Baltimore Ravens at home, first game of the season, Sunday Night Football.
Right. I am one of those people that takes the preseason pledge. Mm-hmm. Nothing I see is real because Kenny Pickett once threw the ball all over us.
Yeah.
The Bears blew us out last year.
It blew us out again, 38-0.
But, the Bills have had a very interesting, almost combative offseason.
Right.
Where we know what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody kind of just take it for what it is. We're going to figure this out, which to the normal fan or like somebody who knows what they're talking about, like you question some of these things, but at least Bean has receipts. At least Bean can sit there and say to us, hey, I'm taking us to the playoffs every single year. I'm doing this, where the other team in Buffalo has no right to tell us we don't know what we're talking about, kind of a thing. But this was always brewing early. They had a safety issue last year.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are not very happy with Damar Hamlin, but my take has always been, unless you have somebody else there, he is your best safety. It makes no sense to just take him off the field, just to take him off the field. The thing with Cole Bishop, and we kind of got this last year, is like you said, he can't stay healthy. But is the head there?
Right.
Because this team loves to draft people with high RAS scores, the scores that measure a person's athletic ability, right? They take all these guys and then they plug and play them. And then, for the most part, it works. In the regular season, they're one of the best in the past 10 years. But I think what you're finding right now is when the margins get slimmer and slimmer, and I'm sorry, I'm a victim of this. They need to make a Super Bowl. Last year, dude, I didn't go to a single game. I'm going to go to a game this year because it's the last one in the stadium. But if that wasn't there, I'm sorry, this season's not real until the playoffs.
But here's the thing that I love most about what you said about we need to be in a Super Bowl. We need to get to a Super Bowl. You know what's crazy about this season? The last 2 years before the season, I've been very critical of Coach McDermott, and everyone would say, oh, Joe, you're being too critical. He's the best coach in Bills history. You won't get, okay, I get it. Completely understand now, because when he sits at the podium, you know that he wants it just as bad as we want it now. And when the coach is fuming about this, he's holding back a lot. It looks like he's holding back a lot. I don't want to assume he is. I don't want to overthink this, but you can just tell that he wants it just as much as we want it now.
Right.
He's got a quarterback that's approaching 30 years old next year. He's 29.
I just brought that up last week.
What else does he need to do to get this team going? And, the more and more we look at the roster, I'm not going to sit here and say that Brandon Beane hasn't tried to compile the best roster possible. Drafts are drafts. They happen. Yeah. You pick a player, he hits, great. Yeah, he doesn't. No, we just talked about this before we started this podcast. If Josh Allen doesn't hit, we're still in purgatory, right? So you can sit here and say, oh, well, Boogie Basham didn't pan out, or Kyer Elam didn't pan out. Cole Bishop may not pan out, but the guy is trying something. And I can never fault someone for doing their job, right? That's the name of the game. And sometimes you just plain flat out lose. Are we there yet with Cole Bishop?
So, okay. I want to piggyback on a couple of things you said.
No, sorry, I said a lot there. I tend to do that a lot.
No, that's fine.
I made some good points, I guess. Right?
Hey, we're just two dudes on a couch. That's what this is, right?
That's what it is, yeah.
Yes, to a lot of the things of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's my thing. Okay, so his draft picks.
Yeah.
You can't fault him. They're all crapshoots, stuff like that. I'm sorry, but like it's your job to hit more of those.
Sure.
Like the amount that he has in the first and second rounds, not named Josh Allen.
Yeah.
That are not really doing like
Jermaine Edmonds.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Ed Oliver. You want to know why Bean signs all of these ridiculously bargain friendly, which I'm not even going to call them bargain friendly. They're high till they're not. It's the passage of time.
This is
Money
what
goes
you
up.
think. This isn't what actually has been proven, right?
No, right.
Okay.
He gets all of the. I'm not saying he's not good at cap manipulation, but I will say this. Why do you think he gets all of these guys to team-friendly deals and all these deals that look great and work in the books? He signed all 5 of the players he needed to this year because none of them are stars.
Mm-hmm.
If Greg Rousseau had 15 sacks last year and he had 10 before that, do you think he's signing for the deal he signed? No. Same thing for Ed Oliver. Same thing for, James Cook's a different story because that was one of the rare times that I probably would have sided with signing somebody, which I'm team don't sign a running back. But when you have one that good, especially when I'm not going to get my wish. I'm not going to get my wish that we're going to go back to throwing to wide receivers every single play of the game. The way they've built it, I understand signing a running back in that respect. But, we could talk about how underrated Christian Benford is all day. But if the guy had 9 picks and he had a QBR percentage against him of 30, he's probably making more than what he signed for.
But doesn't that go? So when you say that about Christian Benford, right?
Yeah.
You say about all these in-house people, but we talk. Let's shift real quick. Sorry to cut you off track there, but let's shift to Christian Benford for a second, right? Mm-hmm. Before the start of the season, Benford, when Benford was when Benford was starting out, it was like, oh, I don't know who's going to start opposite. I don't know who's going to start opposite, and it's like, okay, well, guess who started opposite? The guy who got picked lower than Kyrie Elam.
Sure.
Right. And I go back and forth in my head about this all the time. And when I keep hearing people say the Bills want to find someone in-house, do you blame them for wanting to find someone in-house when people like Christian Benford have grown and blossomed into a great player? Or even like, say what you want. Cam Lewis, I'm sorry, people are very indifferent about Cam Lewis. He's been very flexible and very helpful to the defense, as well as Jamarcus Ingram has as well too. Do you blame them for trying to keep it in-house, with players like, Benford and Jamarcus Ingram and Cam Lewis?
Well, the question is what's the value of the position they're keeping in-house, right? So all these wide receivers they signed this past year, all of them. Curtis Samuel can't get on the field. Curtis Samuel signed a 3-year deal worth $8 million per.
Yeah.
Elijah Moore, if they cut him or keep him, he's making $2.5 million this year. Palmer. Yeah. All of these wide receivers that are middle of the road, did you need to fill up your wide receiver room with $15 to $20 million per year, or could you just have drafted somebody in the 3rd or 4th round?
Or could you maybe give Tyrell Shavers the shot that maybe he's owed? I don't know. We're going to find out. Gabe Davis is in town now, so there's that in the works too.
I just and again, it's very easy to say this with a team that wins 14 games a year, right? But that's always been something I've always scratched my head at. Is I understand the defensive nature of it and wanting to build up the defense, but at some point, it's easy for me as a fan to say this, but at some point, if you want to go get a superstar, you just kind of have to, and you don't have the money for it. Like you kind of have to look at what you did behind you. Yeah. Right. I'm not saying all these deals are going to end up being bad for them. But when we sit here and Trey Hendrickson becomes available and you have the draft capital to trade them, but you don't have the cap room because maybe it's because you signed 3 receivers to 15 annual value because you didn't have any that you drafted. Yeah. Same thing. It goes with every position.
It's funny you brought up Trey Hendrickson because someone the other day tweeted, and I thought it was so funny. I forgot who it was, but they said, where Trey Hendrickson would be a great fit? The Cincinnati Bengals.
Right.
And I started laughing.
I think Jeremy said it this morning.
WGR said it this morning, and I started crying laughing because
Ian Hartitz reported it.
Ian Hartitz, that's who it was.
That's what it was.
And what's funny about it is when you think about it, you even think about like the Dallas Cowboys and the Micah Parsons situation. What are these teams going to do when they offload these guys? They're going to go try to find a cheaper version, and they're not going to be able to find these guys because they're one of a kind.
Right.
They're dime a dozen. And the big thing that scares me the most about the Bills right now, and listen, we're going to be okay. We have Josh Allen. Right. We have James Cook. Mm-hmm. We've got ways of scoring touchdowns. We're going to be all right. However, with, the cut-down date of 53-man roster is Tuesday the 26th?
Yep, 4 p.m.
At 4 p.m.?
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot you have to think about, especially, let's say Gabe Davis does sign. Where's that put Tyrell Shavers? Where's that put the Bills cap? Where does this put the Bills, into a situation with their safeties? Because let's think about it this for a second. Buffalo sports. Mm-hmm. For 5 to 6 years, the Bills didn't have to worry about safety position. They had Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. Mm-hmm. Same with the Sabres. They didn't have to worry about goaltending from Dominic Hasek to Ryan Miller, right? We're so spoiled in those two positions that in my mind that I'm like, we haven't had to worry about, for the Bills, we haven't had to worry about the safety position for almost 7 years.
Right.
Almost 7 years. And we finally think we have the formula to repeat that, and we don't.
Well, which is why, I question, that's your bread and butter as the head coach.
He hasn't had a bad safety tandem ever in his coaching career.
Right.
Yeah.
So why not go get Malachi Starks when you know how important of a need your safety room is? Right. I mean, it's way too early.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah. Sorry, is there a guy off the street that's going to plug and play into the system and be?
Unfortunately, right now, no. I think they waited too long.
Yeah, I think you waited too long, and I think if you bring that guy in, what are you doing a safety? How is he?
Yeah, I'm all for backing your players up, and I'm all for putting all your eggs into a certain basket. But there comes a point. It's kind of like the Sabres right now.
Yeah.
At some point, you just kind of have to see the results coming to fruition. Now, it might be a little bit unfair to Bishop just because he's been hurt so often. But also, what's the old saying? Your best ability is your availability. He's never available, and when he is, everything is behind him. And
McDermott has never been this, I don't want to say agitated, but he's never sent a message to his team like, we got to figure this out. Whether it's Hancock, whoever it is. I want to sit here and say that Sean McDermott's telling his players, "Oh, come on, you're being a wimp. Get out there." He's very concerned that the season starts and he possibly doesn't have the safety tandem that he envisioned.
Right. McDermott is goofy to me for what he picks and chooses to tell the media.
Yeah.
He used to be a lot more buttoned up. So I agree with you there that he has been letting some things slip, but it's all very weird things. Has suddenly become the most concerned coach ever.
Yeah.
Remember the thing with Diggs last year?
Yeah.
When he was the one who sent him home and said, "I'm very concerned. I don't know why he's at practice."
Yeah.
You're the one who sent him home. Yeah. Why would you start that shitstorm like that?
Right.
He has been kind of not throwing people under the bus, but
using us,
but using the media as a tool to almost, in my opinion, to get a rise out of his players. Mm-hmm. And we've never seen this coach do that before, in my opinion. It's very odd. It's very interesting. Like I said, both them, Bean and McDermott, have picked very, very almost combative stances this whole offseason. For Bean to get up there on GR and say the idea of picking a receiver at some point in the draft was the dumbest idea he had ever seen. I looked at that. I'm like, what do you say fuck me for? What do you, it's the dumbest thing you could ever think of. You have the best football player in the world right now. And consistently he's throwing to jokers. They had to you want any more proof in the pudding? They had to sign Amari Cooper week 6.
Let's not hate on Khalil Shakir.
No, but guess what?
Yeah, I know.
Shaquille falls into the category. Khalil Shakir falls into the category that I talked about earlier. He's just good enough that he's not making top wide receiver money.
Sure.
He does something really, really well.
Sure.
I'm not saying
Mhm.
you can't build a team without a top-fledged wide receiver, but you have one. You have a one-of-one player.
Mhm.
Everybody else, when he's going up against Chris Jones, when he's going up against Chase, Higgins, when he's going up, I mean, he hasn't made it to the Super Bowl yet, but when he goes up against the entire D line of the Eagles, because they're probably going to make the Super Bowl again, and A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley, like, it just seems like that's that little bit that is missing. Is you need another dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see that.
I don't know how you get it, but guess what? That's not my job.
Yeah, I know, but that's the two-way street, right? Like, it's not our job, but we also aren't privy to the information or the vision, right? Like, with the team, we see what team they're building. We don't know what the complete vision looks like. However, what we can say and stand confidently say is that come Sunday, week 1 against the Ravens, 17 is under center. I mean, that's like the big thing, right? And that's something that we hadn't been able to say for the longest time. And listen, we can sit here and we can be critical of our team and everything, but at the end of the day, as I always tell everybody, there's nothing better than watching Josh Allen scramble for dear life and just launch a 65-yard pass down the field where you're sitting there ripping your hair out. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, it's like watching Brett Favre growing up. Right. There were games that Brett Favre would have 37 yards and 8 interceptions. Hope Josh Allen never has a game like that.
Yeah.
But, there were games that you would be like, man, Brett Favre is on. And just there's each and every week that I see Josh Allen play, I'm like, he can't do any better than that. And he does, simply. And I think that that's something that we can be proud of as Bills fans, is the fact that every weekend we have a shot. We could be down 30 points. We have a shot because we have an MVP on our roster, and that's Josh Allen. So, speaking of pets, with their heads popping off and us beating our head against the wall, it's time we beat our head against the wall with the other Buffalo sports team. And I'm not talking about the Bandits.
If they drive Rasmus Dahlin away,
you're done.
Don't know.
You're done.
I don't know how they get anybody back. I don't know how they sell another ticket.
Yeah. So listen, again, we're spoiled with the Bills right now, right? Right. We talk all the time about how we're spoiled with the Bills, and when we always shift gears to talk about the Sabres. And this is the incredible thing about it. I as my part-time job, I help at a retail store 716, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Bill stuff flies off the shelf left and right. You make a shirt that says, whatever, Tupac Shakir. I don't know. They wouldn't do that because it'd be trademarked. But my point is, you make a cool, peppy, awesome shirt. Right. It flies off the shelf. Yeah. Sabre stuff.
Which sucks because Sabres got a clean look.
They got a clean look.
I love it.
They got cool colors.
When they switched back, I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
I don't think they should go to hot take. I don't think they should go back to black and red full time. I like what they do right now. 12 home games in the black and red. That royal blue with the gold right now. You need to add the collar back. It will be absolutely perfect. It's the cleanest. It's one of the cleanest looks in the NHL, in my opinion.
Well, my ebb and flow of the Sabres goes based off of how many shirts go to the Dogs. But the point I was making about that was you can always tell when there's a shift, right? And there was always a shift during the season in past seasons where they'd go on a 10-game winning streak and like you couldn't find a shirt, you couldn't find a jersey. Yeah. Everything was on back order. Now it's like, okay, we're 14 years into this thing, this rebuild, this. We're going to do it this year, and we're just not there. And like you said, if we drive Rasmus Dahlin out of town, you don't know how you'd feel about it. I think Rasmus Dahlin, if he gets driven out of town, that's like the nail in the coffin for the Sabres of ever getting any prospect to stay, to getting any free agent to want to come here. That's of NHL elite caliber, and that's not dogging Tage Thompson by any means, but think about it. We haven't been able to sign a top tier, a top flight forward since Taylor Hall? And was that even a real signing?
Okay. Here's my problem. Here is my problem. It's like they're too afraid to move. Okay. They had many opportunities the past 2 off seasons to sign people who didn't have a choice.
Sure.
I hate to make it sound like that, but this is a business, man.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to make that decision to say we have been in. It's not even like they're close, Joe.
Yeah.
They're in the basement for 14 years. How many top a little bit. Let's face it, has to be. They're a little unlucky to have that many top 10 picks and have almost none of them pan out.
What's Marty Barano always say? A couple bounces here or there, and they're back. That's really how it is, though.
Almost half the teams in the league make it, and they don't make it. They didn't make it in a COVID run. My thing, it's fascinating to me how incompetent they look compared to the other organization. And newsflash, it's because the other one has Josh Allen. One of my hot takes is if Josh Allen never happened, we would probably have 2 more coaches and 2 more GMs since then. That's kind of how I feel about it. Even though I know Sean broke the drought before him, but if you don't hit that guy, he covers up a lot of mistakes, and they have somebody like that in Rasmus, but Rasmus isn't McDavid, and that's not fair because he shouldn't have to be.
Plays a totally different position.
Yeah. You come away from your best scoring season in a long time. You finish 1 point out of the playoffs, and to just hope that people keep producing at the same rate, not take into account any kind of reverbing back to the means of any kind. They're so heavily. One of the best things I think they did was after COVID, after they fired everybody, which I hated that. I couldn't believe they did that. They rehired all of these analytical minds like Jason Karmanos and Ventura. Like, it's almost like they don't listen to them. Like, none of these people they're signing besides the past year, they actually started doing it. It's weird. It's like they listen to them all of a sudden. They get these guys who, like Connor Clifton was doing nothing for you. Mm-hmm. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, but it just seems like they just love the hope and pray method, and they won't get over it. The fact that Kevin Adams is still the GM of this hockey team, unprecedented. It doesn't make any... GMs are lucky if they get 3 years in that league. He's got 6. And he's never produced a winner. He's in the same spot he was 6 years ago. Like, how bad did Terry get burned his first 3 years to not ever do anything? Like, it's...
Well, and it's funny you say that because when Kekalainen was hired, when Kekalainen was hired, that was, for me, very similar to how I felt about Villaleno and Christian Ehrhoff. Not that Christian Ehrhoff and Villaleno never skated or played for the Sabres, but it was like back into that kind of situation where, like, what's this guy doing? And then we find out that he's not actually on site. You know, and listen. Yeah,
there's a reason they don't. There's a reason they don't tell you that.
Hear me out on this. I don't care that he's working remotely. I don't care that people work remotely. I don't want this to come off as like, you can't work remotely. I do think when it comes to sports, you have to be in the arena, pun intended, of wanting to be around your players, wanting to understand the culture, and wanting to understand how important. That's not to say that he doesn't know how important the culture is, but when I hear that, I'm like, we're paying him to scout?
Yeah.
Or are we paying him to understand what's making this team tick, what's making them? And what's funny is I had actually run into Daryl Shannon at one point. I was at an event, like a fitness event, and I ran into him, and you know, he talked about how the Sabres, you know, back in the 90s and the early 2000s, even like up to like 2009. I mean, they wanted to be here. They wanted to talk to the fans. They wanted to say hello. That's not to say the players here, you know, that are in the current roster don't want to do that. He said just the game has changed so much where people like to be more, you know, to themselves and closed off from the world and everything. And, you know, I thought about it the other day, and you know, I'm 34 years old. So for me to get excited about meeting, you know, Tage Thompson is a lot different than me wanting to meet him at 14 years old. Right. But you see autograph signings, you see things like that, but you don't see the guys out as much maybe at the local dive bars as you would in the 90s. Yeah. I mean, there were times you would go out. I mean, I didn't, but I'd hear stories. There's times you go out and you'd see Rob Ray, you know, Alexei Zhitnik and Curtis Brown, you know.
I used to go to Encore and see Kane, Reinhardt, all of them out.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
I'm not saying that we got to go have our players go out to you know, these bars, but I'm saying like they were so embedded in the Buffalo community that they knew those spots. They wanted to be here, you know, and you even go back like further to like Thurman Thomas, right? Thurman Thomas chose Buffalo he's still here.
Yeah.
Right? Like players don't do that anymore. They don't stay where they play. And I just think that this team, the Sabres, are going to need to dig deep and find out what's it going to take to get there? Because you just said, the difference between the Bills and the Sabres. I'm not even worried about the difference between the Bills and the Sabres. Organizationally, yes, completely agree. From a team standpoint, the Florida Panthers versus the Sabres, I mean, you're talking like Moneyball quote from Brad Pitt in that movie.
Yeah.
There's the Yankees, 6 feet of crap than us. Like, that's literally how I feel about this organization, is they're just so far off the mark. I mean, 4 lines of U hockey, right? Like, screw you hockey is what Florida Panthers play, and they win cups. You know, they might win another one. And guess who's on? Guess who's leading the charge on that team? Sam Reinhart.
Yeah.
Which breaks my heart even more. So to your point, it's like, I understand we have 2 organizations that are completely different, but I'm so worried about the drop off. You know, even like the worst teams, like Montreal. Here's Montreal's a perfect example. Montreal hasn't had really much success. I mean, they got pretty close. Weren't they in a cup final recently?
Yeah, but that was the COVID season.
Right, that was a COVID
really
season.
Count. They played like 4 teams all year.
But still, they had been in a rebuild, and they were competitive. And they're still teetering right there, much like Detroit. They're still teetering right there. But they've done significant things to push their organizations forward where they play an exciting style of hockey. And they're throwing punches with the teams like Florida. I don't know if we could keep up with the Florida Panthers, the Tampa Bay Lightnings, the Edmonton Oilers of the hockey league.
Well, they can score with them. I saw something.
Play defense.
I saw a stat the other day that made me want to throw up. That since the 2022-2023 season, the Buffalo Sabres have the most 5-on-5 goals in the league.
That's wild.
The most.
How many were against them, though?
they were like 28.
I know. Okay, good.
The hardest thing to do in the sport, they are the best for the past 3 years or 2 years. Hardest, everything else is that atrocious. So you can't tell me the talent's not there. You can't tell me that they don't exactly know what they're doing. Bottom line, what I need this team to do is, for once, look at themselves and say, we are the problem. If I hear Kevin Adams get on that podium one more time and say, well, we want players that want to be here. Well, he said last year he doesn't talk to players that don't want to be here. What's wrong with you? Then he did. And then, I mean, everybody was already riled up. So when he made the palm trees quote, which is super famous about we have taxes and we don't have palm trees. That's just, you read the room, dude. Look at yourselves and say, we are the reason players don't want to come here, and do what needs to be done.
Right.
If you've got a 23-year-old kid who doesn't have a no trade clause, what are you going to do? Is he not going to play? Is he not going to get paid? Like, you have to take some risk involved, especially with the cupboard you have. You have enough draft picks. Yeah. You have enough prospects.
You do. I'm so tired of hearing about our best. We have the number 1 prospect pipeline. Who cares? We don't play them.
As somebody who cares a lot about prospects, you can't do what Tim Murray did, which was unload them off for bad stuff. A first-round pick for Robin Lehner was hilarious.
Yeah.
Amongst other trades. But you also
don't forget the legend, David Legwand.
Right. But you also can't be Jason Botterill and pigeonhole your farm to, I'm only picking college players. I'm not going to pick from here. I'm not going to pick from there. And like, just not stock the cupboard at all. Yeah. Like, you have to find a happy medium, and they're getting a ton of high-end offensive talent, but it's just not transferring. And unfortunately, hockey's the sport like this, where football, you pretty much know right away when the kid's going to be good. Yeah. But when you're dealing with 17, 18, 19-year-olds, I'm sorry, you can't like sit there and be like, oh, he'll be ready in 2 years. That's probably half their issue. Half their issue is they keep playing these kids that are too young. Like poor Zach Benson. Zach Benson should not be on the first line right now. No. They should have got a first line winger and probably a second line winger and filled it out that way. And then let the kids battle that way and let them cook downstairs. Yeah. You are a cap floor team. Spend some money. I knew it was a joke when they cut Jeff Skinner to save all that money to use towards something else. They cut Jeff Skinner to get that money. They told us to get that money to pay our younger players, and guess what? They let JJ walk out the door. But
the bright side of this whole thing, I gotta say, and I'm gonna say this, a lot of people go, Joe, you're living too far in the past. I'm not gonna sit here and blame Lindy Ruff by any means. Okay. I'm also not going to sit here and say that the game's completely passed him by. Maybe his system's slightly outdated. I don't know. but they're playing a little bit better aggressive hockey, right? I think Granato got them playing fast hockey. I think they were scoring at, a crazy amount of goals. They had confidence again and everything, but I think Lindy's system is slightly a little boring, right? However, I think they're starting to kind of grow into it. I'm interested to see what they do this year. I'm not saying he's going to lead us to a cup. I'm not. But I also think that he has to be going into the season going, geez, I really want to hire this guy, but it's going to be a possible 1-year stint if everyone gets fired next year, right? Which, does everyone get fired next year? I don't know. But I got to imagine there's certain people that maybe he wants. I don't want to speak for the organization, that he wants, that he doesn't want to bring in if he doesn't think they're going to be here for the long haul, right? And who's to say that he even wants to be here for the long haul?
No,
right?
I know. I do want to push back a little bit on that. When they signed Lindy Ruff, I was all about it because, you basically had your pick of 3 dudes. You had him, you had Craig Berube, who didn't want to come here.
Didn't want to come here.
Although he was asked and he said he was never called, but he was never coming here. And I can't remember who the third was, unfortunately. But when they signed Lindy, I was at least like, listen, the nostalgia factor, hilarious.
Yeah.
But he's at least a good coach who has a proven track record. Now, there were some players that were interviewed on that Devils team a couple of years ago who said the game's passed him by a little bit.
But where are the Devils right now?
You're right.
Right.
No, I know. But my thing with Lindy is it's questionable stuff. He's never had a good power play for as long as he's been a coach. So we all thought last year, hey, why didn't you hire, he came here and he wasn't able to hire his own assistant coaches. Fast forward to this year, he didn't get rid of anybody. It's all the same people.
But
he was asked.
Did he not have, I guess my question is, did he not have the confidence to bring anyone new in because they're trying to see what happens after this year?
I don't know, man.
I don't know. I don't want to start. I don't think I've started this narrative. I think it's been out there.
No, I know.
I'm saying, I don't want to confidently.
Competitive. He was pissed last year.
Yeah,
he was pissed last year when the season ended. He said to the media, he said, "I did not get the job done. I need to come back and fix this. It wasn't like I'm done here." But according to Kevin Adams, this coaching staff is now his choice, and he didn't really switch anybody out besides, I think they changed the same thing the Bills did. I'm pretty sure they just changed the trainer, and that was it. He's keeping all these people in these roles. And I also don't want to sit here and act like I know what exactly everybody is. Everybody likes to dog on Matt Ellis. Does anybody actually know what he does? Or is that actually Lindy Ruff's system?
I don't know, but he was well loved in Rochester as an American.
Right. Same thing with Seth Appert. I'm sure they brought Seth Appert to get here to be the next coach in waiting because they don't like to spend on coaches. They just don't. They did it once, and I think Terry got burned so bad by hockey people, he hasn't gone back since. That's at least the proof that's in the pudding right now.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make it doesn't make sense that they have their system is. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense power play wise. Right. You look at poor Bo Byram as soon as he got here. He's wondering why nobody's not moving.
I love him. What I mean by that is I love the style of hockey he plays. I love when Dahlin and Byram are paired together.
That's about the only time I like him.
But no, that's the stuff I'm talking about. Obviously, you can't play them together every night. You're going to have to swap your rotate your pairings. But when they're together, it's thing 1 and thing 2 on the ice. They know where each other's going to be.
I think you keep him on this team only to play with Dahlin.
That's it.
I think you go and you find somebody for power, which they probably did with Kesselring.
Oh boy.
But I don't but there's a reason Byram didn't get traded, in my opinion. Some of it is definitely Kevin Adams. Kevin Adams should have done that when the iron was hot because these reports aren't coming out of nowhere.
Right.
There was a ton of buzz for Bo Byram and a deal didn't get done. It is what it is. It probably didn't help that you traded JJ Peterka before that, but the numbers show he was not good outside of Dahlin. He seemed lost, and maybe that support. Dahlin makes everybody look better. It doesn't matter who's playing with Dahlin. Mm-hmm. Dahlin is going to elevate their game. It's every single statistical factor. When you play with Dahlin, you just look better. It is what it is. But unless you're Samuelson. But yeah, I'm surprised Byram's still here. if they go out, the two of them, and they probably looked at him and said, "Hey, contract year, go out there, play like your life depends on it with Darlene, get a bunch of points, see what happens," kind of a thing. But yeah, just one of the many things to talk about that team.
I got to be honest with you, man. We've kind of been talking about this for a while, but like I'm exhausted talking about the Sabres. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to like just be like, I'm done with this, but like that's just where I'm at with the Sabres right now.
I know.
And you know my story. 1998 Eastern Conference semifinals, Mother's Day. My mom says, "Hey, your dad's going to take you to the Sabres game as my gift." I was 8 years old. I was like, "Oh, sick." My mom got a gift for Mother's Day and told me to go with my dad. Sick. And Matt Barnaby scored a hat trick. And like, I fell in love with the Sabres. I fell in love with Buffalo. I fell in love with just everything about being a hockey fan. Right. And what's incredible about it is I was a kid I'm still a diehard Yankees fan, but only thought baseball was the only sport until I was 8 years old when I figured out the Bills and the Sabres.
Right.
For me, I was spoiled. You were spoiled growing up because the Sabres were good.
Yeah.
From 98 to what? 2010?
Mm-hmm.
13. They were good. 12. It was 11? 2011.
It is 11.
Sorry.
Yeah.
They were
good.
We were
going to get there. It's fine.
We were spoiled. My math is very terrible.
No, well, it's not even just before then. I mean, obviously in my life, but the Sabres are a good organization. Yeah. They are a good organization until now.
And it's just crazy. Like every time we talk about it, it's like every jersey I have in my closet is just like,
Well, I feel like I have to bear the cross for them, honestly. Like, because I tell everybody when I talk to them, especially people who are new here, because I deal with a lot of clients that move here and they want to know about Bills Mafia. They want to know about, nobody brings up the Sabres anymore, which is it's unfortunate, dude. When the Bills are good, everybody's happy. I will bawl my eyes out when they win the Super Bowl. It's going to be fantastic. But when the Sabres are good,
the city's going to burn.
This city vibrates when they are good. This city vibrates when they are good.
Yeah.
And they're losing. It had to have gotten to this point. Maybe not, because when the Bills were in their 17-year playoff drought, I never really thought about it before. Did they lose a generation of fans? It doesn't seem like they did, because I think the parents kept it all up and they kept it going to tailgates and stuff because it was an event.
I think the Bills fans accepted the fact that they were bad and they weren't going to do anything.
Right.
To the point where they were like, okay, cool. We're going to be the bad team that spoils the Cowboys, the Dolphins, the Jets. Like, because the Jets and Dolphins were very good.
Sure.
The Patriots. And then I think it was like, they got so sick of it that they were like, one more year. And then that year was when we got.
Right. But it was an event and everything. And I worry that the Sabres, 14 years into this, I worry they're going to lose a generation of fans. Yeah. And it's already started. There's a ton of kids that have no idea who plays what. They haven't had a player to love. I mean, listen, Rasmus Dahlin is easy to love if you know what you're looking at. There's a couple of people that don't like him. They like this town.
Steve Ott was
this town. I swear to God, when it comes to people that they pick and choose not to like, it's hilarious. Guess what? They all leave and do way better. But Rasmus is everything that I want a captain to be. Mm-hmm. I will never be the type of person that says, I know what this player is thinking.
Right.
That's why I always kind of take the player's side. Even on Diggs. Sorry. Yeah. I know not a lot of people like Diggs right now, and he definitely stirred some shit up. But when he left the Vikings, he was right. I don't know about leaving here. Obviously,
it was a little different.
It was a little bit different, but Brandon Beat immediately after trading him said we are not a better team without Diggs.
Sure.
And that was true. That was all I ever argued. Sure. But to come back to bring it to the Sabres, just when you think they finally have a team that you can love again, they're in the basement again. Yeah. And they go bad. I never liked the Dylan Cousins pick.
Sure.
But Dylan Cousins fell off a train to the point that they couldn't figure out where to put him on the roster. Yeah. So that was a good trade, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, they have a lot of work to do. They finally started to make it fun to go again. Mm-hmm. Like, RJ Knight was sick. This was maybe 2 years ago when they first introduced the Black and Reds back.
Yeah.
Where they did the Decades Nights or the Eras Nights and everything like that. Those were sick. Those were such good production value. They learned from their mistakes with the Hasek one, because that was awful. But every single thing they did event-wise has been perfect since, and it just seems like no matter what steam they had, it's almost like they don't care anymore. Like, they kind of got rid of it all. Mm-hmm. It sucks, man. Especially living in that city and not having anybody who cares about that team. It's heartbreaking for me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for those that maybe search for me on social media, I do have a slight fanhood towards the Detroit Red Wings, and that has a lot to do with.
I did not know that. Is that why you like Patty Kane so much?
Well, so
I like Patty Kane.
I like the Blackhawks, just the logo. I've always liked it, especially Seinfeld. My Blackhawks jacket, like that's always been a thing. But I have this like really obsession with like hockey jerseys and hockey styles, and I just like jerseys and everything. And the Blackhawks are one. But growing up, when you weren't watching the Sabres, you were watching Sergei Fedorov, which shout out Sergei Fedorov for he's about to get his number retired this season. Pretty pumped about that. But you look at those teams. I mean, I remember turning on playoff hockey when the Sabres weren't on and just seeing Claude Lemieux just getting duffed by Darren McCarty.
Yeah.
And it just made me like really love, again, in addition to me loving the Sabres, just man, hockey's one of those sports that I can't get enough of it. And I like those classic teams. I can't stand the Boston Bruins. Okay, I can't. Mm-hmm. But you know what? There's times I'll watch a Leafs Bruins game because I'm going to see a fight. I'm going to see pucks moving in the direction of what a hockey team should look like. Yeah. Right. This the original six. I mean, all that stuff. It gets me fired up for hockey, and then I turn on MSG to watch the Sabres, and it's like it's not even the same. It's league. Not even the same league. And listen. I'm not going to sit here and say that I could put on skates and keep up with these guys. No way. And my back would be out before I could say, pass me the puck. But I think we just get to the point where we're just so exhausted talking about it that, like, you know what? Make the playoffs this year. Do something. Knock on the door. Show me that you have the ability to do something, but please don't leave me with a broken dream as always. So, Ben, this has been just an outstanding conversation. I'm sure, again, our takes are much like they always are. Yeah, we're just wild and out there. Yeah. And, we're going to just continue to bring you episodes where, what's on our mind, what's going on, and we're going to make it more personable for you, we're hoping to bring on some guests, some people of different fan bases that could tell us what makes them tick, what makes them, a crazy sports fan, because guess what? We have the best football fans in the world. We even have the best hockey fans in the world when we're winning. We have the best lacrosse fans in the world. But it's always nice to see, other sports fans and what makes them tick and what makes them, excited about sports. So, great inaugural episode. Hell yeah, dude. Can't even agree more. And you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook. We might do an X, which is formerly known as Twitter. Not sure yet. Haven't decided.
Probably should.
We probably should. We probably will.
I mean, anytime you can get stuff out like that, it works.
Yeah, we'll post it on our platform. But yeah, like I always say here, see you later.